Oh, baby, oh, baby.
Welcome to the Solid Verbal. And now, Dan and Ty.
Dan Rubenstein, week 3 is upon us, my friend. Welcome back. How is your health?
Could be better, could be worse, Ty. Just like any other day, I feel okay because I'm here talking about college football. I'm here with you. I'm here with the Verballers. Another joy to be on this planet and standing upright, Ty.
Another day above ground's a good day,
Yes.
as the wise prophet Pitbull once said. Dan, welcome back in to all the Verballerhood. Thank you so much for downloading, for supporting what we do. Of course, verballers.com is where you can go if you want more info on that. We will talk through the game this week in just a little bit, after we talk about many of the other games that are going on in and around the world of college football. If you didn't catch the episode that we did on Tuesday, we talked through 3 of the big matchups in week 3. Those include Georgia on the road at Tennessee, Florida on the road at LSU, Texas A&M on the road at Notre Dame. We will talk about those a little bit here momentarily, but if you want the deeper dive, you're going to have to go back and listen to that on the Tuesday episode, Dan. Of course, if you are here right now, if you like what you hear throughout the course of the episode, hit follow, hit subscribe so that you don't miss any of our episodes. If you're watching or listening on any platform that allows you to drop a comment, we'd love to hear from you.
Yes.
Please reach out, drop a comment, let us know how you feel about our predictions, give us some of your own. All of that stuff helps the Verballerhood go round.
We get.
How are you feeling about week 3?
I feel really good about week 3. I feel really good about, you get to the portion of the buffet where you're like, all right, I've been saving a little bit of room on my plate for these crab claws. There is something about week 3 and the depth of interesting stories now that we have 2 weeks of a little bit of data, a little bit of a concept of where teams are and aren't as related to expectations, who's surging past early expectations, who is lagging behind early expectations. But also, week 3 for a lot of these teams, and this sort of dovetails with our Prove It segment. You have a sound for that, I assume.
I do have a sound. I'm going to use the same one as last week since he responded better to that one.
Okay, thank you very much. The weird horns didn't get me going. Didn't get me horny,
No, that's fine.
if
That's
you will.
fine.
Yeah. There is something about this specific week 3 that makes me think about the number 2, because for a number of people in this great sport and a number of teams, I have this as a second chance Saturday. That you don't need to wait until October to prove that what you did early on was a fluke and you're different now, because there are opportunities for so many teams and so many players to erase what happened in week 1 or in week 2 with the opportunity against a quality opponent or playing against a quality defense or offense to say, you know what, I'm going to take advantage of this week 3 opportunity. And I'm going to say that down performance, that disappointing performance in week 1 or week 2, doesn't matter. You can reverse it this quickly, Ty. You can reverse it if you are DJ Lagway, if you're CJ Carr, if you're Alabama playing against an opponent you definitely should beat and are favored to beat comfortably. You have that opportunity, right? That if you are Texas A&M, you get a second chance at Notre Dame after losing last season. If you're Notre Dame, you get a second chance for CJ Carr and this offense to look a little bit more dynamic against a high-quality defense and program. There is that across the board. I saw somewhere that Josh Heupel hasn't scored more than 17 points against Georgia. I don't know if it's his second chance, but it might be a second chance at a second chance, and that counts for something. And I just love the idea. We have, LSU and Florida. That's a big-time second chance for DJ Lagway and this Florida offense to show any sort of pop, which I think doesn't matter. I think that's
what double sound there.
I think that's where that in sync bite comes from, the song Pop, right?
Yeah.
So I'm very excited for this second chance Saturday because I think there's a lot that can be flipped for a lot of people.
Beautiful. Well, second chance Saturday, I think, is going to work out quite well for us here in the Verballerhood. We have a bunch of awesome games to discuss here today, not just those 3 that we talked about on Tuesday. We will get into those momentarily.
Hey, real quick, it'd be great if you could consider subscribing to the YouTube channel down below. It really helps us out.
As you hinted, Dan, we've been doing this segment the last couple weeks called Prove It.
Yes.
In this lifetime, you don't have to prove nothing to nobody except yourself.
Added in that little pop. Speaking of pop,
Yeah.
before we played it before week 2. This is kind of when we look around college football, we take the temperature of what's going on, and I think try to verbalize which teams, which players, which coaches, which whatever have the most on the line in week 3. Like, I look at this slate this week and I say Florida has a lot on the line.
Definitely.
It's not just a Billy Napier thing. It's not just a DJ Lagway thing, but Florida was one of those teams that had a lot of preseason hype coming into the 2025 season. Losing to USF is not what they had on their bingo card in week 2. Clearly, they had this game circled against LSU. So I am curious to see what we've got from the Gators this week on the road at night in Death Valley. That is going to be a tough proving ground for them, to say the absolute bare minimum.
Sure.
But they've got to prove that they have what it takes. Even if they don't win that game, they've at least got to go toe-to-toe with LSU, come out of that one with a close loss. Because anything more than that is bad news for Napier. It's bad news for that program. It probably is a death knell with respect to just preseason vibes that were really, really strong in Gainesville. So they're the first that come to mind for me. Who's the first that comes to mind?
Well, I have
for
that
you?
on my list, and to just build on what you were saying, I think it's a Billy Napier, DJ Lagway combination, because he's the play caller, he's the architect of this offense, and whatever deficiencies he has as an offensive mind with this team, you sort of expect a quarterback to be able to lift to the best of his ability and cover for any deficiencies, right? That's why we use the term playmaker, to be able to create something out of nothing, to buy time and go downfield, to be more precise, to use your legs, whatever it takes to keep the chains moving. So I think they have a ton to prove. I have Clemson here as a team with a lot to prove. Clemson has a Georgia Tech team, and we're going to get into more detail in this preview, that I think still has defensive issues, but is also a Georgia Tech team that this is the matchup of the home slate for Georgia Tech.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you will never, because the Georgia game, I think, is in Mercedes-Benz this season. So when you look at the schedule, there is not going to be a more hyped up crowd for an opponent than what Clemson will be seeing in Bobby Dodd. And what Clemson showed last week was very little on offense for the majority of that game. Slushy weather, obviously the lightning delay. But Georgia Tech is so specific in how they want to beat you, which is just running the ball down your throat. And Clemson, again, has had some issues stopping the run. They weren't consistent in doing it last season. The offense looked vanilla against Troy until they decided to sort of take the game seriously, maybe. I don't know. I don't know why it was a lot of like dink and dunk and unable to move the pile. It wasn't impressive from a Clemson offensive perspective for a chunk of that game. Just sloppy and imaginative, excuse me. So I think Clemson has a ton to prove. That once again, we're not just talking about Clemson as a team to compete to win the ACC. We're saying, given their experience, given that this is Cade Klubnik's 4th year playing in this system, that they should be a team ready to compete as a top 4 legit national championship contender. And what better time to prove it than against a really challenging opponent on the road?
I've got Miami on my list as well.
Okay.
And I kind of wavered a little bit as to whether I should mention this here, but I think it applies. Look,
I don't. Continue.
Miami has, for better or worse over the last couple seasons, earned this reputation of falling short in some big moments, though not all.
Right.
And though I feel like they are a much better team than USF, and I understand
destroyed them
the
last
big
year,
point
right?
spread. Destroyed them. I understand the point spread, which we will talk about here, in addition to that Clemson game and some others. But this is an opportunity for them to leave no doubt. And especially in the state of Florida, which is really interesting with respect to college football right now. Miami has an opportunity here to drill USF and beat a team that just beat Florida. By the way, Miami has Florida on deck.
Correct. It is a look-ahead spot. Yeah.
A little bit of a look-ahead spot. So we have seen Miami in situations like this before, maybe look past an opponent and not put their best foot forward. And I think this is an opportunity for them to do just that. Albeit against the USF side that is 2-0, has had a really good start to its season. I think you and I are both in unanimous agreement that Miami is way better,
Right.
in terms of just roster construction and what they've got depth-wise. This is an opportunity for them to go pedal to the metal, to prove it, to prove that what we saw against Notre Dame in week 1, to prove that what we saw last week was this is going to be a trend and not something that they forget about when they're in a look-ahead spot.
It reminds me a little bit, obviously I'm going to make this about me and my fandom, but when Colorado traveled to Eugene and Dan Lanning gave the whole they're the darlings of this sport early on, that ends today.
Yeah.
This Cinderella story ends today. And USF has not gotten the type of attention. They don't have the type of personality that Deion Sanders was and is. But USF absolutely coming out of nowhere to be one of the big stories and darlings of this early season with how they've performed on the field. Miami has the opportunity to prove that, yes, this ends today.
The only other team that I'll throw out there, and I'm curious to get your reaction to this, South Carolina.
Okay. What do they have to prove? Against what, Vandy?
South Carolina at home against Vandy. I was thinking this through before we hit go here, and I could actually make the same sort of case for South Carolina as I did Virginia Tech when I talked about Virginia Tech needing to prove itself against Vandy a week ago.
Yeah.
I think South Carolina is in a position where there's a lot of hype around this program, given Lenora Sellers and Dylan Stewart, and maybe starting to see Nick Harbor come out of hibernation. Yeah, Bakari, they've had some moments here in the early part of the season, and I'm just curious to see how they look at home against an opponent that seems to have it together. I know we're not used to saying that about Vandy, but the way that Vandy pulled away in the second half of that Virginia Tech game was damn impressive. Vandy does not need to prove anything to anybody. They're going to be, I think, the consummate underdog. But for sure, South Carolina is trying to play for something more, does have NFL caliber talent on both sides of the football, and this is only a 4.5-point line at time of recording. So they need to prove that they are good enough to beat a team like a Vandy, who they should beat, and they have better talent than across the board.
I don't have them on my list because I don't feel, when I think about South Carolina's potential this year, which I think is pretty high, given when you have a star quarterback and somebody who's capable of playing like Lenora Sellers can, obviously there should be a good amount of expectations on your shoulders. But they haven't lost early. They've looked good. Vandy's looked good. I don't think the season trajectory changes unless they get absolutely destroyed. Doesn't. So I'm not sure how much they have to prove. I don't know how much that changes our outlook on South Carolina, because I think if this game is competitive one way or the other, I think we're going to like both teams moving forward.
100%. The reason that I think I bring them up the most is just because the SEC right now feels very in flux to me. It's very early.
Right.
For the most part, haven't gotten into conference play. There have been a couple games here and there. But I'm of the mind that if you are a South Carolina believer, these are the types of games that you need to see them win in order to verify what you're feeling.
That's fair.
They got to win a game like this. That's where I'm at here.
Okay. My next prove it team is the Tennessee Volunteers.
Well, why don't we do this, Dan? Why don't we put a pin in that for a second?
Okay.
Let me play my sound. I love this
Please
sound.
do.
Dan, time, help. I need picks of the week.
Week 3 coming at you.
Ooh.
3:30 ABC. It's Georgia. It's Tennessee. This line is now down to 3.5 points. Again, we did the deep dive on the Tuesday episode. You were just about to talk about Tennessee.
Yes.
Figured that would be a perfect vehicle to get to this segment of the show. Talk to me about Tennessee and why they need to prove anything to you.
Josh Heupel and the Vols have not been able to figure out Georgia. This Georgia team, while looks like they are going to have another terrific defense, I think this offense, there are a number of questions about whether or not they can score 30 points against a good team. And their opponents haven't dictated a ton to us, but they don't look like killers on offense early on this year. Gunnar Stockton does not look like somebody who is either capable or trusted to take shots downfield, be aggressive. And look, it was Marshall and Austin P. I understand that. But there doesn't seem to be the pop desire from this Georgia team. And when you play against the best of Tennessee, there will be times where you're going to have to flip a certain switch. And right now, I think there's pressure on Georgia. And now, particularly, look, this game is in Knoxville, yes?
Correct.
So you're at home. You have an opportunity after looking very good early on, depending on what Syracuse's season looks like. We'll see. Struggled with UConn last week. I think Tennessee has an opportunity, if you're bringing a good defense and a home field, a home crowd to this matchup, that there is an opportunity to prove that you have taken the next step. Even if, as overall, expectations for Tennessee this season aren't like we've been building towards 2025, right? The offense, I still think, needs another year to get seasoned, but I think opportunity-wise, it's a really nice chance for Tennessee to prove that it can get over on a team that has struggled to recently.
College game day is going to be in town.
Yep.
This is clearly going to be a pretty big setting for this game. I was on Tennessee's my home dog of the week.
Okay.
When we did our predictions on Tuesday. I honestly don't remember who you took here.
I think I took Tennessee. Yeah.
I think we both were on the Vols here, and I'm just wondering if anything has changed your mind over the last 48 hours since we did the last episode. I've been a little creeped out by this point spread, to be honest with you. The fact that it keeps moving in the Tennessee direction. I mean, you can kind of look at that both ways. It either affirms what we're feeling,
right,
or it gives us reason to be creeped out. If a line is going in one direction, oftentimes going in the other tends to be profitable.
I think it just sort of depends that, like, in your gut, do you feel Georgia is Georgia? In your gut, do you feel like, yes, it's nice that Joey Aguilar has shown immediate comfort in this offense and that guys are getting loose and they're winning in a number of ways against, less than stellar opponents in this moment, and that it's a comeback down to earth moment for the Vols, because the best thing on this field, it's not a difficult case to make, is still going to be the Georgia defense. Defense travels. They, Kirby Smart has exclusively won, I believe, against Tennessee and Josh Heupel. So do you believe this year is different, or do you believe that, say what you will about Georgia's offense, they can win this game 20-17?
I'm just a little worried about falling into the trap that I set for myself.
Yeah.
That I warned everybody about before the season. And not to reiterate what I said again on Tuesday, but I was all about Tennessee is going to go out. They're going to blow the doors off their first two opponents. Everyone's going to feel great about the Vols.
Which they kind of did last year before coming back down to earth. Yeah.
Did the exact same thing, which is why I brought it up in the first
right.
place. But I'm going to roll with Tennessee here because I'm unclear what to feel about Georgia.
Yeah.
Georgia will still be very good.
I believe in Tennessee's defense. You give me a defense, a home crowd, a home dog. Say less. I'm in.
I mentioned that Florida's got a lot to prove against LSU. This is 7:30. This is an ABC game. Yeah. This is on the road at night against LSU. Florida at LSU. LSU favored by 8.5 points now at time of recording. When we did our show on Tuesday, it was 9.5. I was on Florida. Felt like too many points to me. I stand by that prediction, but I also stand by what I said a moment ago about Florida having a lot to prove here. I think if you come out of this game, you end up losing by 14, 17 points if things get out of hand against LSU. That's a real problem.
Yeah.
And suddenly there's going to be a lot more smoke around the Billy Napier thing than, we expected for it being week 3 and not even through the month of September. So I don't know if they win this one outright. I think they've got the talent to win this one outright. And I'm also not entirely convinced on the LSU defense side of things.
Okay.
That to me, we're going to talk about Clemson here in a moment, but you can definitely play a little game where you're wondering, is LSU's defense that good, or is Clemson's offense just not together yet?
Right.
This will be another opportunity, I think, for LSU to prove on that side of the ball what they're capable of. But on the Florida side, they've clearly got the most pressure here.
To be clear, LSU's defense is ahead of their own offense by like a considerable margin in this moment. They have been more dependable. Yes. They have played against a fourth-year starting quarterback at a huge place in Clemson and Cade Klubnik and came to play. So I think I'm a little bit... I'm sticking with my pick. I'm going to take the points. I think LSU wins, but I think it's close. I think Florida is probably overlooked USF to whatever extent last week, and I think they're going to be more locked in. I mean, who's not locked in going to Death Valley? So I'm gonna stay with Florida, improving but not having the wherewithal to finish a game against LSU on the road.
Again, go back Tuesday. We did the deep dive of this one, and the other one that we did a deep dive of on Tuesday was the A&M Notre Dame game. I've seen this line jump around a little bit. I've seen it as high as 7. Right now it says 6.5 when I look at the sheet. Either way, the odds makers have Notre Dame as about a touchdown favorite here against Texas A&M. I am probably not the most objective voice on a game like this because I tend to overcorrect for the fact that everybody knows I'm a Notre Dame fan.
Yeah, well, you had them correctly beating Miami, I assume, to start the season on the road. Continue.
I was wholly convinced that they had that game.
I mean, Miami tried, to be clear, to make you sound prescient.
They did.
Yeah.
They did. So my thoughts aside on this game, you like Notre Dame way more than I did. I tend to think it's going to be very close and within that number.
Right.
I don't know if either team here has a ton to prove on the national level. Like maybe more A&M because A&M has generally not done well in spots like this early. Right. The Notre Dame side of things, I think it would be more defensible if they were to take a loss, just given that there is a lot new quarterback, new coordinator, and the works. But the A&M side of this to me is really, really interesting, and I'm curious to see what kind of game plan they try to run against Notre Dame.
Sure. So this is Notre Dame coming off of a bye, correct?
Correct.
A&M played last week, got a little dinged up. Marcel Reed should be fine. I don't know if this A&M passing attack has matured to the point where I trust them against a strong defense on the road. I don't trust CJ Carr that much this early against a good defense, but I think I'd rather have the quarterback I have questions about at home, who's been in the program and is I think they're the same age though, right? I think Marcel Reed and CJ Carr are roughly the same age. Marcel Reed just has far more playing experience. I think I'm just going Notre Dame. I just trust that defense at home a little bit more to force a couple of mistakes. And, you know, the targets for Marcel Reed are new to College Station. And I just think it's going to take a little bit more time. So I'm going Notre Dame here. I forget what score I gave out, but similar to where the Oklahoma-Michigan game was last week, 24-14, something like that.
I know you well enough to know that when you feel good about a game, that's the tone in your voice.
Yeah, I do feel pretty good about this game. Yeah.
You're usually pretty spot on when you have that kind of demeanor about you.
Right.
So I'm going to hope that you're right as a Notre Dame fan. Again, we covered all 3 of these on Tuesday. Now, in terms of games that are also big that we did not cover, let's travel back in time, Dan. High noon ESPN, it is Clemson tipping the scales at 1-1 on the road at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech 2-0. Georgia Tech is a 3.5-point home dog. Dan Rubenstein. We missed this in our week 2 recap because Tech played Gardner Webb.
Correct.
Haynes King didn't play in that game.
No.
Haynes King's already banged up through 1 week of the year. It sounds like they let him sit it out on purpose so that he could heal up for this one. Precautionary, of course. A long season ahead of him. Sounds like he's good to go. I did entertain the notion of buying ishayneskinghurt.com. It can be yours for the low price of $18.99. I did not buy that.
Okay.
But the answer is generally yes, if you're wondering.
Yes.
Clemson's won the last 9 meetings in this matchup. 8 of those 9 have been by double digits, including the one last year when they won 42-21.
Yes.
A lot of people are high on Georgia Tech. I might be higher than everybody on Clemson, perhaps even to this day. Are you pulling the upset here if you're Georgia Tech? Are you covering the point spread at home if you're Georgia Tech? What is your game plan if you're Georgia Tech?
If you're Georgia Tech, what's the game plan? Let Clemson beat itself, maybe? So that sounds very simple, but it's sort of you have to yourself be buttoned up. You yourself can't shoot yourself in the foot. You yourself have to have a very specific vision and stick with it, whether or not it's working early. But hang around and wait for Clemson to make mistakes. And it wasn't pretty last week. That doesn't define who Clemson is this season. I like the spot for Clemson, actually. And it's not the Haynes King thing. It's not a real road game. I mean, it is, but it's a very close distance to cover. So there's not flying across the country or flying to Boston or something like that for Clemson. It's an easy ride. And I think Clemson getting that kind of wake-up call last week, going down whatever it was, 16-0, 16-3 to Troy, I think that's extremely helpful early on in the season. In the way that, like, as soon as Notre Dame, or take any pick, but Notre Dame loses last year to Northern Illinois and completely takes it out on the next, like, 7 opponents, right? They start drilling them. They start getting buttoned up. Everybody locks in.
It's a zombie Alabama situation is what you're describing, right? They get a little bit of taste of their own blood, and then suddenly they turn into something more.
Yeah. Now, what has me worried is there's a single word that I don't love seeing next to a player at any position, let alone Clemson's leading receiver, and that's hamstring. Antonio Williams did not play last week against Troy. And it might have been precautionary. He might just be nicked up. It might just be a very minor thing. When you are dependent on speed and power and force and your hamstring is nagging at you, I don't love it. And maybe it's just because I myself am an elite athlete that provides a ton of torque in my life, and I've dinged up my hamstrings. It's not fun. So, and I know obviously Clemson has firepower aside from him, but I still like Clemson here because I think Georgia Tech is going to have all of Clemson's attention, especially after what they almost did against Georgia last season, what they did against Miami last season. And I think getting that wake-up call, I think is going to be very valuable for Clemson. I think they have better players. I think they have a better team. And if you shut down, which is a big if, it's a big ask, Georgia Tech on the ground, I think it becomes a lot more difficult because Georgia Tech's defense is still not at a place that I love. You know, I take Tennessee because it's a good defense at home. I wish Georgia Tech's defense were a little bit closer to above average. It's 2 games in. We have no idea. But I would have liked to seen a little bit more against Colorado. So I'm going Clemson here to win by a touchdown and take this one, 30-23.
Yeah, I think we're kind of on the same track here. Like, the big question for me goes back to Clemson's offense in week 1 against LSU. And I know I mentioned it a few minutes ago, but just 261 yards. Was that because the LSU defense was so good? Was that because they're not that good on offense? Or they're still trying to get it together on offense? Even last week, they outgained Troy, I think, by a total of 5 yards. And most of that was in the second half. They had a sluggish start. They had a weather delay. They had some injuries. You know, we don't need to relitigate that. But I think the Clemson offense question is obviously more of an existential thing that we're going to have to talk about over the course of the season. And this is like another important step to trying to understand where they're at. I'm not sure how much it matters, though, against Georgia Tech, because Georgia Tech is not a team, at least not recently, that anyone has associated with defense.
Right.
Virtually no pass rush a year ago. The pass defense was really bad. I think they've got the talent to be better this season, but I'm not expecting any kind of shutdown defensive effort from them in this one against Clemson. So I think this is a lot of fun. It's a great matchup. I've got it at something like 31-25 Clemson. I'm not super confident.
You have to actually, it's an actual gamble to feel good about Clemson's offense right now.
It is. It is. And so that's why I say I'm not overly confident in that. But part of me feels like at this point, I'm so invested in Clemson. Just, you know, I've been talking about Clemson left and right since we started doing previews back in July. I would be a hypocrite for not picking them in a spot like this. So I think the difference ultimately is the defense is better. The defense gets a few key stops. It's fairly well telegraphed what Georgia Tech's going to do when they have the football, and it's going to go through Haynes King. Right. I think a couple key stops. I think a couple big passing plays, probably to Bryant Westco, who had some big ones last week as well. 31-25 is sort of what I'm thinking, but I think it's a good game, and I think it's a lot of fun. It's a great matchup in the early part of the day.
By the way, if Clemson doesn't score 30 points this week, I think I might just be done with Clemson as a national championship contender. There's something very risk-averse and scared and shriveling about this Clemson offensive vision that I'm just not on board with, given the experience and given the potential.
3:30 ESPN. They call it the Backyard Brawl.
Yeah, baby.
Ooh. Pitt 2-0, West Virginia 1-1. Pitt is a 7-point road favorite. They lead the all-time series 63 wins to 41 losses. There are also 3 ties thrown in there for those who care. What do we do in a rivalry of this magnitude, Dan Rubenstein?
You got to throw out the records unless a team just did nothing against Ohio. Continue.
Can Rich Rod get revenge for his infamous 13-9 loss against Pitt?
It's true.
the one that cost them a spot in the BCS title game back in 2007. I will also point out, as was emailed to us, this is, of course, a game being played on the 13th day of the 9th month of the year, just to maybe complete the symmetry here.
Did you see that somewhere, or did you?
Somebody emailed it in.
Okay, nice.
Where are you at here?
I just don't. You can say that West Virginia was in a look-ahead spot, but they knew Ohio was good. They knew Ohio won the MAC last year. So this was a quality opponent that they had last week that they could do nothing basically on offense against. I have no reason to pick West Virginia here, other than the fact that it's at home and it's an emotional spot, and you have to believe in like the pixie dust in Morgantown to feel good about West Virginia in this spot. Even if Pitt is once again an up and down team this season, obviously they're going to be motivated in a rivalry spot. Obviously they have experience on offense and a good track record on defense. Doesn't happen every year. We'll see where they are. Pitt, again, what do you know about Pitt this year? They're better than Duquesne? They're better than Central Michigan? Okay.
Yeah.
So basically you're saying to yourself, who has shown more of an ability to completely tank? And that's West Virginia in this moment, which is like so obviously sort of understandable. This isn't a roster that like Rich Rodriguez has curated over the years and recruited to a specific vision over time. So I just think Pitt's better, and they're going to win this game by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, Pitt lock of the week.
Lock of the week.
You know where I stand on Pitt. I like them a lot.
Sure.
I take your point about Duquesne and Central Michigan. I don't think you can take a whole lot away from that, but Eli Holstein is back healthy. They are 7-2 when Eli Holstein is back and healthy. I think the trend continues here. I was hesitant. I hate taking a road favorite in a rivalry game like this. I hate it. But the other thing that we should add to your point about what am I betting on with West Virginia? Did you see Jaheim White is down for the year now with an injury?
He's done. And so you're like, what are you betting on? You're like, well, you're betting on less with regard to the rushing attack, probably. So what is the manner in which West Virginia is fighting here?
West Virginia lost last week to Ohio, as you mentioned. They were also outgained by nearly 200 yards,
right.
180 yards. So offense is a serious issue at this juncture. Rich Rod is still figuring it out. I don't think that is a black eye for West Virginia or Rich Rod. There's a lot new.
Sure.
There's a reason that he took over the program. They are basically trying a reboot. So I'm not feeling it on the West Virginia side. If West Virginia were to pull off the upset here or even keep this one close, that would be a shocker to me and would definitely be a flashing red light with respect to my Pitt love.
You might even be fortunate if you are planning on wagering on this game that we've only seen 2 games of West Virginia. Because potentially, if we've had 3-4 games of West Virginia, if what last week was is representative of where they are, at least early on in the season, you might have been looking at an 11.5 point line, a 13.5 point line.
Right.
So
that's exactly right.
I hope we get a good one here. I hope that we get a game that says, look, West Virginia is starting over, but you got to appreciate their fight in a spot like this against a hated rival. But you got to really squint. You got to have that ability between the eyelids because it's not apparent right now.
31-14 Pitt wins going away.
Yeah, 34-13. Yeah.
4:30 p.m. Eastern time on the C-Dub, Dan. USF 2-0, Miami 2-0. Miami favored at home by 17.5 points. I would say a bit lost in the shuffle amid Florida losing to USF is the fact that USF, through 2 weeks of the season, has blown all projections to smithereens with respect to its defense.
True.
Just 23 points allowed to both Boise State and Florida combined.
The Toddacity of Todd Orlando's defense, yeah.
Oh, you're getting out ahead of me.
Sorry.
I was building to say that the secret. I was building to say that the secret in Tampa is Orlando.
It's good. It's good. Look, another second chance, right? What was his reputation after USC?
It wasn't great.
He's revived things for himself. It's great.
In both cases, both Boise and Florida, we saw the opposing defense, or the opposing offense, look extremely sloppy.
Yeah.
And I think we can chalk some of that up to early season yips. Maybe some look ahead with Florida having LSU on deck.
Yeah.
But it is something to take note of. going into this game. Twice is a coincidence. If they were to do it again, that could be more of a trend. It's going to be harder, though, because I think Miami's a better team than they have faced so far. So, yes, maybe the secret in Tampa is Orlando. Maybe it isn't. But this is a big point spread. I don't think USF can sneak up on anybody at this point, given what they've done through the early part of the season.
Right.
And again, this is an opportunity for Miami to prove its mettle, to prove that it's not going to look past this opponent with Florida on deck.
Right.
Where are you at here?
I'm taking Miami. And I'm taking it for the, this ends today element of it, that USF has all of Miami's attention. I don't think Miami's a finished product, but I think with what their ceiling is with regard to speed on offense, I know you love the young receivers from Miami after what you saw them do up close against Notre Dame, or I guess up close emotionally, not physically.
Sure.
And I like where Miami's defense appears to be headed under Corey Heatherman. I think when you have the potential to have as disruptive a defensive line as Miami should have every week, I think that changes the calculus, that you can't just beat Miami with an opportunistic quarterback who can extend things. I think he's going to get hit a little bit more than he has been against Miami. I like the receivers for USF a bunch, and it would not at all surprise me if USF was up 10-3 or something in this game early, because I think Alex Golesh is a great offensive mind. I think they're going to have a great game plan for Miami, but I think over 4 quarters, the speed and the attention and how locked in Miami is going to be, I think it's going to go similarly to where it was last year. Even though this Miami offense is not where Miami's offense was last year, I think we're looking at something like 38-17 Miami.
Yeah, and we also don't know where Miami's offense is at.
No, they've exclusively played a really good defense.
Week one. Yeah. They blew out Bethune-Cookman last week, and I think we know for sure it'll look different. It can't look the same because the quarterbacks are completely different players.
Yeah.
But this could still be a really good Miami offense. I think gave voice to that.
It's a big number.
I think it'll be slower paced than it was a year ago. And I don't think they're going to have quite the playmaker in the backfield like they did last year with Cam Ward, but it could still be very good. And we saw some of those guys on display against Notre Dame. The USF offense is super interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the numbers, it's been a really fun combination of very explosive and highly inefficient.
Right.
And in general, those are some of the most fun teams to follow because you just don't know what you're going to get from play to play. They are not playing quite as fast as I expected. They're basically building the entire plan out of Byron Brown, their quarterback.
Right.
Along with Keyshawn Singleton out wide, Chaz Nimrod, one of the great Chazes in college football right now, next to Chaz Coleman up at Penn State. I don't know if they can do enough just with that trio to get the job done here against Miami, but I think they're going to try. The quirk for me is the look-ahead factor on the Miami side. Is that something that we see come out early, come out late? My hunch is we won't. I think how you feel about this game depends entirely on where you're at with Miami's ability to move the pile with its line. If you feel like Miami's got the advantage up front, as I do, and that they can push USF around like they did to some extent Notre Dame, then you feel like Miami can bully their way through USF and ultimately get the dub here. They can dictate tempo. They can dictate tone. I think that's what happens. I don't think it's a blowout, though. I really don't. And so I was back and forth on this point spread. I've got it at 31-21 Miami.
Interesting. Okay, so you're taking the points here. So this is, it's the third straight real game for USF. I mean, a game against a very real opponent. Not a lot of people can say that, if anybody. It's their second straight game on the road in a difficult environment. And I just wonder what the spread is if, I know this is going to sound fictional, Ty. I know this is going to sound like it's not of this world. If Florida took care of business at the end of the game in a sensical way, right? This was an absolutely winning or winnable game for Florida that they couldn't close in. So, what is our opinion of USF if they just put up a good fight but lost late against Florida? You're like, okay, great job, USF. You are hanging with a quality SEC team, and you beat a playoff program from last season. What a start. This is 22.5 points, 24 points. That's the question to me, that how much work is that win doing when it was, on the other side of things, a very losable moment for USF.
What's your final score prediction?
I said 38-17.
38-17.
Yeah.
I could see it. All right, 7:45 SEC Network. Vandy 2-0, South Carolina 2-0. South Carolina favored by 4.5 points. Feel low? Feel that's low?
Not really. I mean, I think Vandy's good. Not great, but good.
Weird quirk.
Yeah.
Week 3, we have a common opponent between these two teams, do we not?
We do. In Virginia Tech. Yeah.
I think it's a much harder ask on the Vandy side to go Tulane Stadium and beat Virginia Tech, albeit not the Virginia Tech that we grew up rooting for or grew up watching.
Right.
But still a tough place to play. Still, I think, a fair amount of talent on that side. Probably a bigger discussion. But I was really impressed by the way that Vandy asserted itself in the second half of that one. And I think it really underscored the fact that they're a good team.
Yeah.
They're a good team. Diego Pavia was still able to take over. It's a veteran squad. They had a ton of returning production. I believe the most in the SEC coming into the year, and it showed. It absolutely showed. So now this is going to be the next step here. Going to South Carolina, this one is at night. South Carolina, I think, does have a lot to prove in a matchup like this.
Okay.
Is there any reason to believe that the Diego Pavia pixie dust is going to be spread all over Columbia, South Carolina?
Yeah. I don't know if you should feel amazing about South Carolina's offense in this moment. How many offensive points did they score against Virginia Tech? 17, right? They had the punt return touchdown, right?
Correct.
So I think it's 17 points against Virginia Tech. How many points did Vandy score against Virginia Tech? 44, which seems like it's more than double. Again, I went to a state school. Math is not my strong suit. So if you're going to take common opponent after 3 weeks, Vanderbilt's offense was much better prepared, especially as the game wore on, to take it to Virginia Tech. Whereas South Carolina's offense, I have some questions about this offensive line, doesn't seem like it's fully formed. Whatever that form is going to be, they're looking for answers in this moment. So that would be a reason why to feel better about Vandy. I don't love the double road game thing, 2 difficult places to play, Williams-Bryson Lane Stadium. I think South Carolina, by the fact that they're at home, that they both have, folk hero, super fun quarterbacks. I think they edge out Vandy late in this one. I think there's going to be an energy to this one. I think it's going to be a great back and forth. I have South Carolina winning this game ultimately 27-24 at home. So I'm going to take the points.
I've got it at 31-20 South Carolina, but I think it's a similar game to the one you described. I do think it's close. And I think Vandy's a good team. And I love the veteran experience, especially on the road.
Sure.
Hostile environment like Williams-Bryce. They will probably beat expectations again this season. They will find a way to do that. I know it's something that we talked a lot about in the preseason about how, the schedule is going to be hard. And it's an uphill battle to get back to where they were. You remember all of that conversation a couple months ago.
Right.
But I still think they will find a way to exceed expectations because that just seems to be the mentality and the culture of this program right now. But it's just too much to ask, I think, going to South Carolina at night to win this one outright. But I do think it's close for most of the game. And I think Carolina pulls away late, kind of like they did with Virginia Tech, to be honest with you. So I'll say 31-20, but I could see it being lower scoring and I could see it being closer.
Yep. I'm just going to need to see it from South Carolina's offense because they didn't show much in terms of closing, in terms of pop against Virginia Tech in week 1. That's basically all we have. So this is a second chance for South Carolina against a quality opponent to show offensive progress.
A couple other quick hitters here that I want to talk through.
I'm ready.
Okay. High noon ABC. Wisconsin 2-0, Alabama 1-1.
Yeah.
But Alabama favored by about 3 touchdowns here at home. Is there any good reason to go Wisconsin?
No.
Plus the points outright. Can you construct that case for me now?
No, I can't. So it's Wisconsin, who I guess has a second chance at a quarterback after losing Billy Edwards early on. We'll see when he comes back. But if it's Danny O'Neal, I think he's a backup quarterback, which means I think he has some spunk. He has some playmaking ability. But when you watch him play against Middle Tennessee last week, you're like, this is not going to go well against Alabama if Alabama cares. And I think Alabama's going to care against Wisconsin.
What did you see when you watched him?
I think he was a little bit late. I don't think he's got a good arm. I don't think the offense is going to be all that dynamic with him in there. I don't think they have the receivers to really challenge Alabama's DBs, and I think there's a good chance that Wisconsin's going to struggle to protect him, as I think he's late and holds on to the ball too long. And Alabama, if they have a pass rush that's improving over the course of the season, should be able to disrupt his field of vision, should be able to disrupt his confidence. I have Alabama big here, and I think they're going to be just fine against Wisconsin because, look at the decal on Wisconsin's helmet. You have to take them seriously. They're a major program, and I think Alabama will.
Yeah, I've got a zombie Bama situation here.
Time.
I think they tasted their own blood. I think they've been hearing what's been said about them in the national media, and I think they handle Wisconsin easily.
45-14 was my final.
Yeah, something like that. I was going to say 52-14.
Yeah.
I think they're going to run one up here on the Badgers.
For your consideration on any podcast player, search Solid Verbal, find us, and hit follow or subscribe. It's just that easy.
7 p.m. ESPN. Arkansas on the road at Ole Miss, Dan.
Yes.
Ole Miss is a 7-point favorite. Is it weird of me to feel really good about Arkansas here?
Yeah, I don't know what you're feeling really good about, but
Their offense has been so good so far.
okay.
They've looked really good.
And I'm sure they've played like a legitimate defense, so you're just like, that's a measuring stick. They beat Alabama, A&M.
I know. Listen,
There's no comma between those. They didn't beat Alabama and Texas A&M. They beat Alabama A&M. Yeah.
I am going to go down with the ship on this one.
Okay.
I am taking Arkansas outright.
Okay.
I don't know why. I can't fully put into words why I feel this way. But in looking at the numbers that I saw, granted, against far lesser competition, I got the sense that they could win this game. I'm going to trust my intuition because when I try to think through my picks, it generally doesn't work out any better.
Right.
I'm going to go with my gut. My gut pick of the week is going to be Arkansas outright on the road at Ole Miss.
Have fun with that.
Okay.
I just, look, I understand why you're saying it. I understand that Arkansas has an exciting quarterback and they're sort of, they're led by a very specific head coach who has a very specific vision. They have an offensive coordinator who has a very specific vision. There's a lot to like about the fun quotient of Arkansas this season. I think you need to be a little bit more buttoned up to beat Ole Miss, this version of Ole Miss. And look, they weren't great against Kentucky last week. The mistakes from Austin Simmons early weren't amazing. And like only beating a team by a touchdown who basically had no ability to pass the ball, that's not a great look on Ole Miss. But I think against Arkansas, and this game is always weird. There's a long history of like interesting, strange bounces and back and forths and shootouts. I'm going to go Ole Miss here. I think last week, their experience in playing against a real defense, I think gives them an edge. I think they're able to self-scout a little bit more. I'm going Ole Miss here by, 10, 12 points.
Taylon Green's been real good.
I know, but like,
Real good so
what
far.
else is there?
I know. Listen, I get it. Perhaps I'm going out on the wrong limb, but I'm going to go Arkansas outright.
Yeah, I'm going
What
to
the
give the
hell?
points.
8 p.m. ESPN2, the Darian Mensa Bowl, if you will.
The Mensa matchup.
Duke on the road at Tulane.
Yeah.
Duke is favored by 1.5 on the road at Tulane. Have you looked at Tulane's numbers so far?
Not closely, no.
Tulane's been running the crap out of the ball
Good.
this season.
Well, they added
And
their
I
quarterback
think-
in like an hour and a half before the season started, so you got to give him a minute.
I think they're going to be motivated to get the win. I think if anybody can make something of the fact that Darian Mensa left, it's a guy like a John Sumrall, who definitely speaks with his chest,
Yeah.
with a lot of emotion, and seems to know how to get a team fired up. I think he's going to be able to use this one to his advantage, and I think they're going to end up winning this one outright. Now, I also think there is a little bit of a prove-it factor here at play on the Tulane side, because with all the talk being about USF, with all the talk being about what are they going to do at quarterback, it almost feels like in the build-up to the season, Tulane was kind of an afterthought. Boise was the one that everybody had penciled in on most of their playoff brackets.
Right.
We saw some other teams. I didn't see enough Tulane on there, and I think it was because some of the quarterback questions and, generally just some of the turnover that they experienced. Losing Akai Hughes to Oregon Ducks, right? I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot there that I think factored into why they weren't a little bit more prominent. a guy like John Summerall knows how to play off of that, and I think they win this one at home. I think they need to prove that they can beat a team like this.
I'm not abandoning Duke after one ugly loss to Illinois. I'm not abandoning Manny Diaz. I'm not abandoning Darian Mensah. I'm not abandoning any of these guys. They played okay short of the 5 turnovers. If it weren't for those 5 dastardly
if I had
turnovers,
wheels, I'd be a bicycle, right?
Right. I think there's Duke value here. I think there is something random about turnovers. I think there can be something correctable about a disastrously bad performance. Illinois won that game fair and square. They destroyed Duke because what do good teams do? Take advantage of other teams' mistakes. I just don't think you can count on that from Duke each week. I think they're going to be focused. I think they're going to be locked in. I think it's a good time to get out of your home stadium, out of your home bed, get on the road, focus on this game. They're going to take Tulane seriously, obviously. And I think Duke is going to win this one on the road.
We disagree.
And also, if you don't understand this line, then you lean into it, right?
Yeah, well, I was going to say there's some logic in leaning into a line that you don't understand, for sure.
Also, they only beat Northwestern by 20.
All right, a few under-the-radar games.
Ooh.
Just looking at Periscope, what do we see out there on the high seas of the college football Week 3 landscape? 10:30 on TNT. Texas State at Arizona State. Arizona State lost last week on the road. I am not expecting much defense from Texas State, but if you are somebody who cares about point spreads, the line here is 15.5 points. It's a lot. I do think Texas State could score. I am not touching this game with a 10-foot pole, mind you.
Right.
But if you're interested in points, I at least think that Texas State is going to give them a bit of a game early. They will find ways to score points because that's what they do. They just don't play defense, and that will ultimately be their undoing.
Right. Yeah, I think if ASU has not completely fallen off, they will use Texas State as an opportunity to get right. If we believe that Sam Leavitt is better than what he showed himself to be against Mississippi State, which I do, I feel good about Arizona State. Not maybe as great, but I still feel good. I'm not abandoning the Sun Devils after week 2. And if we feel Texas State is competitive, but like you said, perhaps defensively deficient, then this is a great opportunity for Arizona State to run hard, to lock back in. Kenny Dillingham seems to be the kind of coach that can get things right if they're going wrong, right? Has the personality. It seems like they have the culture to get things fixed quickly. So, yeah, I think they win this game by 3 touchdowns, 42-20.
Another game here that I think is quite interesting, Dan.
I'm ready.
Minnesota on the road at Cal. Now, 10:30 kickoff on ESPN. Cal is a 1-point home dog. This line has jumped around a little bit. This is going to be a very interesting setup because I'm interested in seeing what Cal's freshman quarterback can do against a pretty good defense in Minnesota.
Yep.
And I think the defense is the key. I also think this is a lower scoring game that's going to end up being ugly and somebody's going to win 23-20. So just keep this on your radar. If you like what you've seen thus far out of Jaron Kiave Songapula-Tele, perhaps you go Cal outright here at home. Otherwise, maybe you take the Minnesota defense. I'm riding with the Minnesota defense 23-20.
Yeah, I guess that's a challenge for Cal. It's another late night game though. So that's what time is that Minnesota time?
I guess it'd be 9:30.
No. This is at Cal, right?
It's at Cal, yeah.
So it's 10:30 p.m. East Coast. So it's a 9:30 kick. Yeah, you're right. 9:30 kick for Minnesota.
Right.
I don't know, man. There's body clock stuff at play here. We see it every year. You know, Oregon has it this week, by the way, traveling to Northwestern for an early kick.
Yeah.
So that's what, 9 a.m. Oregon time?
Right.
I think I'm going to take Cal here. We saw it against Miami last year where they had that opportunity against a much better team in Miami to close out that game. They choked it away. I'm going to go Cal here to win this one. I think Minnesota's just going to look off.
That's fair enough. Actually, I guess it would be. Yeah, it's just a late
What
game.
time?
I don't know. I'm trying to work the math out in my head. I can't do it here on the fly, but it's just going to be a late game for them.
Minneapolis is Central Time.
Minneapolis.
So
is
it's a
Central time,
9:30 p.m. body clock.
9:30 p.m. kickoff. Yeah. Another later kickoff. This one's on Friday night on Fox. This is K-State on the road at Arizona. K-State only a 1.5 favorite against the Wildcats. Now, I had written Arizona off for dead.
Yeah.
Arizona's actually looked fine so far this season.
As much as we can tell against Hawaii and Weber
as much as we
State,
can tell. Kansas State has not at all looked fine. Kansas State's got 2 losses. They have struggled in all 3 of their games so far this season. I think I was incorrect previously when we talked about K-State on maybe the Tuesday episode. I think I said that they were 0-3. By mistake, it's kind of feeling like they're 0-3, given where they're at right now. But 1-2, their only win is that one 38-35, whatever it was, over North Dakota a couple weeks ago. I'm going to go Arizona outright here.
I'm going Arizona too. So
I don't know what's going on with K-State, and I don't want to bet on that side of this. So give me Arizona.
So here's what's going on with Kansas State. They may not be very good. They might be okay. This is a week after a service academy team.
Yep.
So the defense in some way is worn down with how much they were on the field and what they had to do against the best of Army's offense. That's not great. I have too much emotional baggage as an Oregon fan to deal with, hey, things are not looking great. Let's go to Tucson and play a game at night. I have too much of that in my DNA. So I'm going Arizona here. I don't know if I trust this offense at all. I love that against teams that are not on the same level of Arizona, that this defense held them completely down. You can't take a lot away from Hawaii and Weber State. Hawaii did they beat Stanford in week 0. That's something,
Correct.
I guess.
Correct.
But holding teams to 4.5 points, I like that. That shows focus, that shows energy. You're locked in the red zone. I think Arizona is improved early on, and it's just a bad spot for K-State. So give me the Cats.
I have 10 other games here that I'm going to rattle off very quickly.
Okay.
Just because these are other under-the-radar matchups for one reason or another.
Okay.
7 p.m., Old Dominion at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's only favored by a touchdown. Virginia Tech needs to win this game. I think that goes without saying. This game has not always been a blowout in favor of Virginia Tech. They need to blow out.
Or win for
Old
Virginia
Dominion.
Tech, yeah.
I'm trying to be gracious here because I know we have
I'm going
Virginia Tech
Hokies
people
here.
that listen. Yeah, I'm going to go Hokies as well. 7 p.m. App State on the road at Southern Miss. This is interesting because there's a lot new on both sides. I like where App State is at, actually.
Okay.
So I'm all over App State here. -1.5 on the road at Southern Miss.
I am as well.
Friday, 7:30. It is Colorado. It is Houston. Colorado, it appears, is going to be starting a different quarterback now. Have you seen this in the news?
Ryan Staub. Ryan Staub is the third string. Here's what I don't love from my college football programs and college football teams. If after 2 weeks, when Deion Sanders said there was, maybe I'm misquoting here, but that there was an ongoing battle between Caden Salter and Juju, the freshman quarterback coming in with a lot of acclaim. That, oh yeah, Juju's going to see the field, and we're going to see what we have in them. And after 2 weeks, Ryan Staub is reportedly getting the most reps in practice. They're like, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have any. If you have 3 quarterbacks, we have a conversation to have about where this offense is, where the passing attack is. So, yeah, I don't know if there's injuries involved with either Caden Salter or Julian Lewis, but I think I'm going Houston here. I don't love where Houston's offense is at. It hasn't been especially explosive early on this season, but at Houston, I think I'm going to go Cougars here.
Cougars favored by 5.5. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Not sure what's going on with that offense. Yeah. Some other notables. Michigan, I believe, was without Sharon Moore, right?
Yeah, it's Biff Poggi stepping in, associate head coach,
Your boy.
Former Michigan associate head coach, went to Charlotte, didn't work out, back at Michigan. Yeah.
That's at high noon. They're hosting Central Michigan. Also at high noon, your Oregon Ducks coming to town. Big noon kickoff going to be there.
Yeah.
Right there in Evanston, Dan. Oregon about a 4-touchdown favorite. It's notable, I think, just because they get to play in the portable stadium and you're going to be there.
Martin Stadium, I'll be there. I might make some cookies and wander around some tailgates and pass out cookies. I don't know. I'm very excited for my team being there, and I want to do nice things. So let me know if you're going to this game. I'll try to find you. I guess the only reason not to give the points, because Oregon has clearly been dominant against Montana State and Oklahoma State, is wind, the elements.
Oh, my God. They're going to cream.
Because I think they could probably
Northwestern in this
run
game.
on them, too. So, I don't know. They've got Oregon State and Penn State coming up, but I guess your idea would be like, yep, they're just going to be happy to win this game. Even then, like 35. I don't know what the score is so whether they don't cover, right? So it's like 35-7.
Oh, I think they're going to kill him. I think
Is
they're
that
going to
barely
absolutely hammer him.
So I think,
Did I see that Cam Porter is out for the year now on the Northwestern side?
Cam Porter, who's long been their number one tailback, he's done. It doesn't seem like the offensive line protects Preston Stone. It doesn't seem like his options at receiver are all that interesting. They have a couple of really nice pieces on this defense, but I think it's just too tall a task.
Also at high noon, Memphis at Troy. Memphis is a 4.5-point road favorite. Memphis is another one of these teams just sort of hanging around. Historically, Memphis has been one of the better non-P4 schools, G5, if you will. I'm not sure what to make of them this season. I was a little bit lower on the Tigers because they lost their longtime quarterback, and it was kind of like starting over in some sense.
Yeah.
But that being said, 2-0. That being said, G5 ranks are kind of in uproar right now, given what we've seen go down. So Memphis maybe can gradually assert itself and be part of that conversation. That's why I'm interested in this game. We'll see.
I'm going to go Memphis. It's a letdown spot for Troy.
USC on the road at Purdue. You watch Purdue. What's your take on Purdue?
They're not that good, but that's okay. That's okay.
But they carry, you said. They carry
I thought they were playing with more gusto. The talent level is not there. USC should be. I don't think it's not a look ahead spot for USC or anything. I think USC should be in a good place to win this game comfortably. So I'm gonna give the points. What time is kickoff in this one?
3:30 on CBS.
Yeah, I think they're gonna be just fine. So I'm gonna go USC here. USC's been stat padding a little bit late, and that's okay too. But USC should be fine.
Iowa State's a 3-touchdown favorite on the road at the Red Wolves of Arkansas State. I might have been a little too high on Arkansas State. So let's go Iowa State here in this one
Letdown
for me.
spot. I don't know if I'm giving the points, but it's a
No?
letdown spot. So that has me a little bit concerned, but no, I'm okay.
And the last one here on my list is FAU at FIU. FIU favored by 2.5 points. The only reason I bring it up is because this is a rivalry game. They call it the Shula Bowl.
Yes.
Named after Don Shula. So there you go. If you are watching games and you're wondering to yourself, what is the best window for me to get the full college football experience?
My question to you is, how bad do you really want legs?
If you're looking to build that optimal quad, you're looking at the nightcap. I think this is one of the strongest quads that I have seen in a while.
I agree.
Florida at LSU, running at the same time as Texas A&M Notre Dame, running at sort of the same time as Vanderbilt South Carolina, which starts at 7:45 because the SEC network does this weird thing where they got to be different. And then at 8 p.m. on ESPN2, Duke on the road at Tulane is, I think, a matchup that's going to have a lot of emotion just because of the Mensa connection, the Mensa matchup, if you will.
I agree.
If you can get those 4 games in a quad, and I know some of the services out there let you build your own, some are better than others,
Right.
but if you can build a quad with these 4 games, either through the streaming service or manually on different TVs, whatever method works for you, but that's where it's at.
I totally agree. This is a great quad. This is going to be a great evening. Order some takeout food, really sink into the couch, do your thing. This is they talk about Netflix and chill. Don't do the chill thing. This is just college football and college football.
I think that's right. Also, we have a conversation to have here about the window of opportunity this week. We talked about it on the Tuesday episode. We had a gentleman who reached out to us about having a birthday party for his kid between 3 and 5 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday. That is truly a very, very difficult pill to swallow. Week 3 is a big one.
Yeah.
I had another individual email me and say that being Georgia fans, their kids are used to their birthdays not meaning anything, as they are also in the fall.
You can do it like what they do in schools with summer birthdays, right? They celebrate the half birthday.
celebrate the half birthday.
Yeah, like, well, Mia's not turning 7 until August, so let's have it in, if my math is correct, February. Do the half birthday then.
You could probably get away with missing up until about 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. If you need to go out there and be amongst the people, if you're hosting the birthday party for Junior, if you're catching a neighborhood showing of Cats, really any other off-Broadway production, that's your thing. Is Naked Gun still in the theaters?
I hope so. I hope it makes a ton of money. I want to go see it so badly. I'm going to see it at home.
Still didn't? You've been talking about going to see that movie for 3 weeks.
What windows do I have? My life does not have either exercise or I'm with kids or I'm working.
That's why I do the window of opportunity.
I know.
Take the opportunity to go out there and watch the movie.
No, the problem is my attention span is so little that even when I'm home during the early window, then I have to thank God for the DVR stuff on YouTube TV that's unlimited. I have to go back and watch what I missed while I'm watching current stuff with my crippling lack of attention span. And this week, I'm going to a game at 11 Central. So I'm really going to have to catch up in that window.
You got to about 4:30 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay.
But after that, you got to get in front of your TV on the couch, get the quad loaded up. The good news for the gentleman who emailed me is if the party only runs till 5, I got to imagine the little one's going to be conked out pretty soon upon getting home. Put him in bed early, get the quad loaded up. You'll have enough of a taste for the college football week at that point.
That's true. Do you have any food plans this weekend, by the way?
Kate's after me to make the pizza. I haven't made pizza in
What's
forever.
wrong with you, man? You have a gift.
I have a gift. You gave me the recipe.
I know, but
That's
the other thing is, though, you've got a bum shoulder. So I don't know if you're on the on the
I'm
shelf.
going to talk about this more in the bonus episode tomorrow, but
Ty's falling apart physically.
Some harrowing physical revelations that I have to share with the Verballer.
Yeah.
By the way, verballers.com is where you have access to that bonus episode if you are at all interested. You can also sign up for Run the Board. We're giving away a $150 gift card to Bombas.
Oh, my God.
Bombas is not a current sponsor of the show, but Dan has a saying here if you'd like to repeat that for the Verballerhood.
You're only as comfortable as your feet are or your undergarments, because Bombas makes an extremely comfortable for the dudes or anybody who wants to wear it, like the boxer briefs, top of my rotation. Terrific
Really
undergarments, underoos, whatever you want to call them, Ty. The socks are obviously top of the rotation. I was thinking about trying to figure out if I could somehow steal this $150.
Steal?
Yeah. I was thinking about doing something illegal and transferring this money to me, but my morals and ethics got the best of me, and I won't be taking this $150 for myself.
There are 12 games on the Run the Board slate this week.
Yeah.
Texas A&M at Notre Dame, Clemson at Georgia Tech, Wisconsin at Alabama, Georgia at Tennessee, Pitt at West Virginia, South Florida at Miami. You're noticing a trend here, by the way. Florida at LSU, Duke at Tulane, Minnesota at Cal, Vandy at South Carolina, Louisiana at Missouri. I threw that one in there. App State at Southern Miss. We've talked about all of those games with the exception of Louisiana at Mizzou. All of those games, hopefully we gave you enough to feel dangerous. Again, go sign up for a certified or premium tier, at which point you can go in there, you can sign up for the game. Pick 12 games against the point spread. If you win, you get that card. Otherwise, if you play all season long and finish in the top 5, I'm working, by the way, on the leaderboard.
Nice.
Overall leaderboard. If you finish in the top 5, you get a seat on our coveted board of trustees.
By the way, that game, speaking of food plans, I don't have any yet. The Louisiana game for Mizzou, letdown look ahead sandwich, right? After the border war,
right.
pre-South Carolina. Absolutely is.
So there you go. Go and check it out at verballers.com. If nothing more, you support what Dan and I do. You get access to the bonus episode, what we're going to record tomorrow. Get access to everything a little bit early, of course, without the ads. Of course, you get access to the games, the polls that we're going to run that you can vote in on every week, the Discord server, and so much more.
Ty, last request, if you can.
That's all I have. I'm
last
sorry?
request on this Second Chance Saturday.
Doesn't matter.
Will you drop that big, stanky, rough, rabid, and writhing drum and fife?
Oh, baby, oh, baby, oh, baby, oh, baby, oh, baby, oh, baby. Friday, 7 p.m., Colgate on the road at Syracuse. Syracuse, Dan, does Syracuse have what it takes to knock off the Gators coming to town?
I don't think so. I'm going Colgate in the upset pick here. Syracuse
Really?
struggling with UConn. Give me the Gators. I have no idea.
I'm going Syracuse.
Okay.
I think we're both going Syracuse. Saturday, high noon. Lehigh on the road at Duquesne. Lehigh 2-0, Dan.
Wow.
Looking very strong here out of the gates. I'm going Mountain Hawks on the road against Duquesne.
You know I'm anti-Lehigh in almost every single facet of my life. But against Duquesne and what they couldn't show against Pitt, give me Lehigh.
Saturday, 1 p.m. This is a tough one for your Yetis. Lafayette on the road at Multi-Sport Field against the Georgetown Hoyas, Dan.
Lafayette big. Didn't even lose an ounce of wink of sleep over this one. I have them 42-9 over Georgetown.
In Multi-Sport
In
Field,
multi-sport
no less.
field, absolutely. Lafayette's built for this. They're built different. Continue.
I got Georgetown. Saturday, 2 p.m., Rhode Island, 2-0 on the road at the Crusaders of Holy Cross, also
This one's tough.
at 2-0.
I'm going Crusaders here. There is something about the allure and mystique of Crusader football that I don't think Rhode Island can just approach at all.
Didn't Rhode Island have a guy that played, or used to have a guy that played for Oregon and got drafted?
Yes, Johnny Cornelius, right tackle the last couple of years.
Saturday, 3:30, Fordham, 0-2, Stony Brook, 0-2. Been a rough go here for the Hammies to start this one off.
I think the important thing is Fordham's getting away from the Bronx here. I think it's a chance to
Yeah.
reset. Second chance Saturday, after all. Third chance in the case.
Where is Stony Brook, by the way? Where is that?
I assume somewhere in New York. Do you want me to look real quick? Stony Brook. It's in Stony Brook,
Let's
New
see
York.
Stony Brook, New York.
Long
Okay,
Island.
Beautiful. Okay. That's a brutal drive, though, isn't it?
from the Bronx to Long Island. It's not a fun drive. I don't think it's a long.
You ever drive to Long Island?
I have.
That's brutal, man. That is brutal.
I mean,
I had to drive to a wedding up there back in the day. That was the worst night of my life.
If you are going to ask me my favorite vistas along a drive, the LIE is not among them.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I'm going to go Fordham, get their first win of the year. And last but not least, as we bring the music down, VMI at 1-1, traveling all the way up to Williamsport area, Bucknell, playing host there, 1-1. Who you got?
I'm going to go with the VMI, the Virginia Military Institute. There's a certain amount of discipline that it takes to go to Bucknell, and I think VMI has it.
You know I'm anti-Nelly.
I do know that.
VMI as well. All right, that does it. Thank you to one and all for chiming on in. Important programming note. We will be without our chief reverb engineer, Shay, this week, which means that as the reverbs come in, yours truly is going to be the one cutting and mixing and putting them together. So if you would like to get a message through directly to my ear, 855-VERBAL-3 is the reverb line that you can dial throughout the course of Saturday as you're watching all the games in week 3. If you've got something to say, I will hear it. Just be nice.
By the way, there
I'll
are
pick
some
my favorites.
Yeah, there's some other weird ones though. I should say this week. So we didn't highlight the Thursday Friday stuff as much, but like NC State Wake Forest, I'm gonna have my eye on.
NC State. I love NC State in that game, Dan.
By the way,
I was probably gonna put that out on the old Twitter at some point.
Okay.
But I love NC State minus like 7 in that game.
buddy, what if
Really, really like NC
what
State.
if UCLA loses to New Mexico? Like that is a must win for Deshaun Foster and UCLA. Late Friday, right?
Yep.
Utah, Wyoming, interesting to me. I don't think Wyoming's great.
Why didn't you bring these up before?
Because you put them so low on this dock, I assume you were purposely disrespecting all these programs.
You could have brought it up before. You're half of this show.
Technically. But we know you're the face and the voice. No, there's some interesting ones. I think just pay attention week 3. Keep your eye on the bottom line. I think that it's going to get weird. It always does. It's college football.
It is college football. Boston College at Stanford could be a little bit weird. Who knows?
Yeah, letdown spot for BC after a tough game.
Yeah. Nightcap, traveling cross country. You never know.
North Texas Wazoo. I'm keeping an eye on these games. I like all of this.
Keep it right here. Hit follow, hit subscribe so that you don't miss any of the episodes. Again, if you're watching, if you're listening anywhere where you can leave a comment, we'd appreciate that. If you've made it this far and you really like what we do, leave a star rating or review. Of course, that helps more people find the show. That is all I got for now. Again, do not forget, stop on back live Saturday night.
Yes.
We do a live stream. We do our reactions live out on the YouTube channel. I will reroute Smell Ty's hair. I haven't done it yet, actually.
Please do. It's very confusing for people to hear it and not get there.
SmellTysHair.com so that you can get to the live stream and watch live reactions on Saturday night as we react, of course, to all of this madness. In the meantime, though, thank you one and all for your ongoing support. We appreciate it. We will be back on Saturday night. For that guy over there, Dan, for myself, Ty. As always, enjoy the weekend and stay solid.
Peace. And if any sports medicine doctors are listening and you've got like killer labrum tips, solidverbal@gmail.com, CC.
We'll talk about this on the bonus show.
CC
All right,
Ty.
I tore my other labrum. There it is.
Oh, my God.